Um, Good afternoon. So we have stopped lecture 6, part B at this point. So network topologies, So this is the area we have stopped the lecture. Uh, so network topologies means how we connect different networks. Uh, so there are different ways that we can connect the computer networks. Local area networks. So what do you mean by local area networks? LANs. Uh, uh, Also, when these methodologies can be used, wide area networks. So network topology means, the word topology means the way we connect it. The way we connect it is the topology. So we have different methods that we can connect. We can arrange the network in a way that it's a circle, so then we call it a ring topology. So two paths for data is available when you're doing a ring. So if you do a ring, it's a ring. So you attach your computers to the ring. So this is a ring net. It's a ring net. So when you connect your computers into a ring type of a topology, there are two paths available. Now, if this computer, let's say this is A, if A is communicating with B, they can go on this ring, this circle, this path and communicate. So that's the one. Let's say if that path has a breakdown, somewhere the ring is broken. So then it can communicate with B this way also. So that's the advantage of a ring network. So in campus, sometimes we build up a fiber ring, and then different buildings we connect it to the ring, and those buildings will have a different computers, So we use various methods, basically. I'll show you the next drawing, Um, uh, I'll show you combination of it, So then the next one is star. The star means you have a switch here, and then you connect computers to the switch. So it's like a spoke. So from one central point, you connect it to star. So the mesh, the star networks, cable segment for each computers are connected to centralized components. So centralized component is the switch. If one computer becomes unplugged, the remaining computers are still connected to the network. So if this is unplugged, all other machines are connected. So it doesn't not have any dependency of the other communication, other computers. But if the switch, the centralized component, as the switch fails, then you can't communicate. And then you get a mesh. So mesh means, let's say you have computers. You have 4 computers. You can make a mesh like, so you can connect it like this. You can connect it like that. So then this is called a mesh. So each computer connected to every other computer by separate cabling. So this configuration provides redundant path throughout the network. If one cable fails, another will take over the traffic. So if one fails, the other cable can take over the traffic. So that's the advantage of a mesh net. If one fails, other one can take over the traffic. But the thing is, so many connectivity points. So that's the disadvantage of a mesh. Now, in practice, what you have is sometimes the combination of it, So let's say you have one building here, one building there, one building here, one building here. So we draw a ring connecting those buildings. And then inside the building, you wire through like a star for each computer. So then you can have connectivity, like you have put a switch there, and then you have a star. So now this is a ring and this is a star. So practically, this type of networks are possible. Um, so that's not possible, So certain different methods that you can connect it. So multiple methods are there to connect it. So you can see, I mean, this is not only local area network within a campus or within the building area, within an office. Even you can see that this type of topologies, even in a large wide area network, where Sri Lanka Telecom has put up fiber optic cable for a rings. Colombo metro area, there's a one ring going on. And then outstation, like Kurunagal, all that covering another ring. So this ring, different points, like a star, the points are connected, So combination of a star and a ring is there within the country, So rings are there. So this way of connectivity, we can allow computer networking. Topology means the way we connect. So then let's look at the voice communication. So voice communication channels differ from data channels connecting the CPU and peripheral equipment. They are communication media for transmitting voice signals and are classified according to their capacity. Let me see whether it is all recording. Give me 1 minute. මේ පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න රෙකෝඩ් වෙනවද කියලා. හරි. Okay. So voice communication. So let's look at the voice communication. Communication channel differ from data channels connecting the CPU and peripheral equipment. They are communication media for transmitting voice signals and are classified according to the capacity. An example of voice band channel is a telephone line. So telephone, we can do it. I mean, earlier only we had this normal telephone, and still we don't have it. We have it like a circuit switch. We discussed the circuit gets switch. Now we have a VoIP, voice over IP. So the voice over IP, voice over IP is also a transmission of two-way voice communication that uses the internet for all the parts or its parts. This can be performed with traditional telephone devices, VoIP, and desktop computers equipment with sound card, microphone, and speaker terminals dedicated for this function. Now, in a voice over communication, we are using computers instead of internet to communicate phone calls. So now let's say you have a computer and then you have a internet. So through internet, you can communicate with another person having a computer. So this channel on internet connecting here is a VoIP, voice over IP. So IP protocol, TCP IP protocol we are using to send the voice traffic. So what you need is a computer with microphone, and speaker. So microphone and speaker, if you have it, you can communicate. It can do it on the phone as well, you know. Um, so the phone even you can connect it. Um, Telephone also we can connect it. The telephone, I mean, in the mobile phone, like you know, it's a mobile phone. Normal landline you can't connect it because the land phone doesn't have a VoIP capability. But there are phones with VoIP capability, so you can connect it to the internet and connect. So, so the advantage is we are using internet to communicate. I mean, actually, I mean, when you are doing this, you know, the Zoom session also, this Zoom session is basically uh, uh, the same Zoom session also a VoIP. So if you really look at the voice traffic, now I am talking and you are receiving the voice. This goes on a IP, TCP/IP format, not a traditional phone call like what you call circuit switch. So this type of communication is possible today with the voice over IP. You can talk to any person anywhere in the world, voice over IP. So voice over IP communication connecting to public PSTN also. There are ways and means connecting. So for example, let's say I am making a call, you know. So I am making a call on VoIP from my phone, mobile phone, VoIP. And that get connected into internet, okay? And then it's good. Now you might ask, okay, can I make a Skype call to my father who is in another country, you know? But he has a PSTN, public switch telephone network. So this is called a public switch uh, telephone network. So PSTN network. So he has got a PSTN network so that he has normal phones. You know what we talk, you know, it's not a VoIP phones. The telephone wires are there. And then he has a phone. So can my Skype call can be converted into a PSTN call? So that's also possible. You know, so these people like Skype, but it is not free. Skype to Skype, you can make a free call. So if you have another phone connected into the Skype, yes, you can make a Skype call. Um, but here also you can make us instead of a Skype, it converted into PSTN by the telecom provider. So this is by the uh, telecom provider. So for that purpose, you have to buy some. You have to pay. For Skype credit, you have to purchase. You know, Skype. If you have a paid connection, you load it, then you can make a PSTN call from foreign country. But that became at one time it was very useful because people didn't have the smartphones. Now it is not a big issue because people living in abroad can talk to directly to the mobile phone on WhatsApp or something like that. So this arrangement now it's not very popular. This type of different voice communications are there. Like for example, if a person who is in a ship, or ship, who's a ship, he can only communicate with satellite phone to the satellite. So satellite. So his communication with the satellite come to SLT, let's say if it is a Sri Lankan customer, and that converted into a PSTN. It start ringing your home telephone. So if let's say you are, if your parents are in Sri Lanka and the son is in the ship, so he make a satellite call, but the parents need not to have a satellite phone to receive the call. So that call get converted to SLT, and but the charges for the calls are higher. So this is the only option if you are in a flight to communicate also the satellite. So while you are onboarded in the flight, you don't receive any GSM network at 30,000 feet. And speed of 900 kilometers, the GSM network won't work. So you have to have a satellite communication, uh, and then it connected to the satellite, and then it connected to SLT, and the call, so various methods. So if you're in a bullet train also, you can't make a normal GSM or normal mobile phone calls. So it will have an internet in the, what do you call, in the train. Through that only you can make a VoIP call, because it's going at a 400 kilometers per hour. So GSM normally don't switch from GSM tower to tower at a very high speed, over 100 kilometers per hour. So a little tougher. Voice communication, voice recognition input devices are still another alternative to a keyboard input. This system compare the speaker's voice pattern with pre-recorded patterns. Advanced system now have large vocabulary and strong training period. They allow for dictation and are not limited to simple commands. So voice output devices convert digital data into speech using pre-recorded sounds. So this is possible. A cell phone uses radio waves to transmit voice and data through antennas in a succession of cells or defined geographic area. So personal communication services (PCS) is a cellular technology based on low power, high frequency radio wave. The cells, the geographic area for signal coverage must be smaller and more numerous. But the phone should be smaller and less expensive and be able to operate where other such devices cannot. So these type of voice communication also there. So voicemail converts spoken message from analog to digital form, transmit them over the network. So you can have a voicemail and stored on the disk, and you can record a voice and keep it on the disk. And so then again, messages are converted back to analog form, and recipient listen to them. Afterward, they may be saved, forwarded, or deleted. So voicemails, you can keep it in a PABX. So sometimes if you're not there, you ask them to keep a voicemail. So when you come there, you listen to that voicemail. So either you can save or forward or delete it, after listening to it. So conducting, so these voicemails to record in your office, if you're recording voicemails, then you have to have the PABX has to have the recording facility. But if you are saving on a voicemail on WhatsApp or something, then the WhatsApp servers will be recording. And conducting an electronic meeting among several parties at remote site is teleconferencing. So it can be accomplished by telephone or electronic mail group communication software. So teleconferencing is like you can put a similar size of the screen, and then you can run a board meeting like people are physically there. Telecommuting is teleconferencing. So video conferencing permit the conferees to see each other on a video screen. So teleconferencing facilities there, like you have a big device, telephone, and then you can conference with other group communication software. So these practices have given in recent years as the companies have attempted to cut their travel costs. So video conferencing is a very, very good thing. So the video, I mean, you can see the receiver's video, and then you can like like the person is like next to each other. Now you have this telepresence is another area. Telepresence. So telepresence is it's same size of a person. Like I can put a big screen and let's say I mean now if a president want to address a team, president, if he find it very difficult to come to that point and it's a time consuming, so he stay there in presidential hall or temple trees and make the speech. So he stands there and make the speech that get projected into here in the full size, and the audience can see. Only thing they can't handshake, but they can see like a president there. So sometimes they also don't know whether the real president is there. So that level of a telepresence is there today capable, and he can deliver the speech. Also, he can listen to the questions. So he can see who is raising the questions, and he can answer from there. So that's called a telepresence. So telepresence is also a area where there is a big growth. So now let's look at the right pertaining to the software. Software is copyrightable, but the substantial amount is in the public domain. So network of computers users may share such software. So uh, actually, software is an intellectual property, so IP, because somebody who developed that software, he has to spend time and effort to develop that. It's a copyrightable. Uh, uh, so therefore, you have to put it in a pay and substantial amount. Uh, uh, some softwares you just put it into public domain, but it's copyrightable. They say then you use it, you pay for the money. The shareware is a software made available for a free. So sometimes it gives a free shareware or for some initial trial period by the owners to users to distributors to website or electronic bulletin board service. So shareware is free. So through distributors or you put it to the internet, you can download it and use it. Um, so the like free apps, like things like that are all shareware. Sometimes they give it for an initial period, or they might give a certain specific numbers. So after that you have to pay. Software piracy is a problem for vendors. Any duplication of the software beyond what is allowed in the software license agreement is illegal. So if the software license agreement allow you to use this software for 2, 3 locations, yes, then no problem. But any duplication is illegal. The best way to detect the illegal copy of application software is to compare the serial number on the screen with the vendor's serial number. So you can match with the serial number. So use of unlicensed software increases the risk of introducing computer viruses into the organization. Now, why organizations are interested in licensed version? Because they want to get unwanted computer viruses into it. Such software is less likely to have been carefully tested. So unlicensed software may be not carefully tested. So with that, you can get the viruses. So that's the problem. To avoid the legal liability, controls also should be implemented to prevent use of unlicensed software that is not in the public domain. So we can have a software licensing agreement permits a user to employ either a specified or unlimited number of copies of software products at a given location, at particular machines, or throughout the organization. The agreement may restrict reproduction or resale, and it may provide subsequent customer support and product improvements. Um, so software piracy can expose an organization personnel to both civil and criminal penalties. The Business Software Alliances is a worldwide trade group that coordinates software vendors' effort to prosecute Business Software Alliance. So it's a worldwide trade group. So they prosecute illegal duplicate copy of software. So they can sue them using it. So diskless workstation are there. It has an increased security by preventing the copying of software to flash drive from a workstation. So especially if you are using thin client computers, which I explained earlier, last lecture. So that you can't install many softwares, so that prevent flash drive, flash drive only legally can be implemented by admin. So this control may not only protect the company's interest in its data and proprietary programs, but also grounds against theft of licensed third-party software. So people taking over the third-party software, theft of licensed software, you don't have problem if you have a diskless workstation. So then all the application runs on from the server. So that type of arrangement you can do it, or otherwise you can put you can't do any installation if done by admin login. So you only given a user login the desktop. To shorten the installation time for revised software in a network, an organization may implement electronic software distribution (ESD), which is a computer-to-computer installation of software on a workstation. So instead of weeks, software distribution can be accomplished in hours, or days can be controlled centrally. So if you have electronic software distribution system implemented, then you can push that software into other machines. So especially in a bank, so many machines are there. So if you have brought new office, you want to copy into 500 machines, then you can do that. So another advantage of electronic software distribution is that it permits the tracking of PC program license. So you can remotely track all the licenses in the network. Now let's just imagine if you have three uh, 3,000 computers in a bank in across all the branches. So you need to know about the license of Windows, license of Windows, and the versions, updates, whether the updates have gone, and also the if they are using Chrome browser, what is the Chrome? Is it updated or what is the version? And then so many other software, the version and license. So this can be tracked with the electronic software distribution. Um, so system that support routing processes, information resource management. So the tremendous variety of forms, diverse means of users have led it to the concept of information resource management, which takes a global view of information holding and needs for an organization. This view is promoted by Information Resource Management Association. Uh, so, so let's now look at Management Information System, MIS. So MIS typically receive input from transaction processing system. Now, MIS get the data from transaction processing system. So anything you have a transaction processing TPS, then from there only MIS get the data. And then it will pass to the, if you have a decision support system, DS, executive support system. So here the management information system. This is a transaction processing system. This is decision support system. And this is executive support system. So now these systems won't work, MIS won't work if the transaction processing system is not there. So let's say if accounting system is not there, accounting program, then MIS cannot extract any data related to accounts. Like, let's say you want to see whether anything over, the days bucket, like, within 30 days, what are the payments pending and what are the 30 to 60 days. Those reports you can't prepare if you don't have data. So they have to extract the data from transaction process. It can be accounting system or ERP system. So that aggregates and then reports in a format useful for middle management to run in the business. For this reason, MIs are often classified by function or activities such as accounting, general ledger, accounts receivable reports, accounts payable report, payroll processing report, fixed asset management, and tax accounting. The other aspect of accounting information systems are described in second one, finance, like capital budget, operational budgeting, and cash management. Three, manufacturing area, production planning, cost controls, and quality control, logistic, inventory management, and transportation planning, marketing, sales analysis, and forecasting, human resources, projecting payroll, projecting benefit obligations, employment level planning, and employee evaluation training. So all these things can be done with this MIS system if you properly plan it. Now, what does it do? It eliminates human mediated communication to machine mediated communication. So MIS does is change human mediated uh, communication to computer mediated communication. Now that's the advantage of MIS. Now let's say if you want to get, I mean, every time, every week when you go for a meeting, account payable, account receivable, reports management will ask. Now, if every time you have to pull out from the transaction processing system, that means the accounting system, and prepare the account receivable table and accounts payable table, sometimes you have to extract 2, 3 tables and combine and make this table. So it's a time consuming. But once you have done with the MIS system, pull this table, and connect it and show the report. And that program you can program it every week. If the Tuesday's discussion, you have to get that information and prepare that report and kept it in MIS. So now we don't have to talk to so many people in the accounts department and get the data. It pulls out the data and prepare the report accordingly, whatever you want. So it's a routine things can be done with the MIS so that every day you don't have. For some organization, when we go, they said today don't come because we have a board meeting. We are preparing reports. I asked them the whole day, yes. Because then you realize they don't have a MIS system proper. The MIS, MIS will extract from the source systems and prepare those reports according to the way you want. You can program. So that's the whole idea of MIS. So these single function system often called stovepipe system because they are limited focus are gradually being replaced by integrated system that link multiple business activities across the enterprises. The most comprehensive integrated system is termed an enterprise resource planning system. So we know that the enterprise resource planning is the most integrated system. And the entire enterprise resources can be planned. Okay. So I'll explain in next slides, not in next page, it's next slides I will explain. So we'll discuss on ERP. So having said discuss on the MIS, now let's look at the accounting. So AIS is a subsystem of MIS that process routing highly structured financial transaction data relevant to managerial as well as financial accounting. I mean, you prepare managerial accounting and financial accounting. So management purposes, managerial accounting, financial accounting for, for the different department like tax department you have to give, and the board, the board of directors. So transactions with the external parties, customers, supply, government owners, and the creditors, reflected in financial statement prepared in conformity to GAAPs. So GAAP standard, we can use it. The internal activities recorded in the cost accounting system and the preparation of the related reports and analysis, which is a production report, perform a financial statement, budget, and cost volume profit analysis also we can prepare. So now let's look at, having studied MIS and the accounting systems, ERP. So because ERP software is costly and complex, it's usually installed by the largest enterprises. although mid-sized organizations are increasingly likely to buy ERP software, the major ERP package, including SAP ERP Central Component, SAP SC, Oracle e-Business Suite, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Enterprise One, uh, from all Oracle Corporation. So Oracle Corporation has acquired PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, and all. So the major two players are SAP and Oracle. And I mean, there are major three players that we call it tier one ERP software. So tier one ERP softwares are, if you look at, there are three players: SAP, then Oracle, through Microsoft, three Microsoft. So Microsoft, two products are there, Navision and Dynamics. So these are the three tier one ERP software. And then the tier two, you have so many. Tier three also we have so. So if you look at IFS, is a tier two software. So not this scale. So if you get tier two IFS, there are so many software. Then you get, tier three, like Sage, Pack. Then, basic accounting packages like MyOB, and then, so many accounting packages are there. They are tier three because they don't have a complete suite. If it is an enterprise resource planning, it has to have a finance, sales and marketing, HR, operation, uh, then project management. All these modules has to be there. 30 odd modules will be there in ERP. But especially if you look at Sage Act, mainly primarily on the finance, and they might have a CRM also, customer relationship management. So ERP is intended to integrate enterprise-wide information system, creating one database linked to all the organization application. So it's like you have a central database, central DB, and all the applications like sales and marketing, finance, HR, production, material management, material management. Then you can project management. All are connected. Even it can be CRM, customer relationship management, supply chain management, CM. So all the modules are integrated. So ERP subsumes traditional MIS. This illustration below consists of constraints less integrated MIS with the more integrated ERP. So ERPs are more integrated. All these modules are integrated because why it is important? Because when you're running a night shift in the production, it has to inform that who is going to be in the night shift, from HR system. And you have to pull out. And a person cannot work on day shift and a night shift at a stretch. So all these can be done if you have a ERP. Otherwise, what happens is the silos of information. Finance department will have a different system. HR will have a different system. Production will have a different system. So much of a manual work that you have to do it. And it's not accurate also. It's not speedy. So this way of integration of, probably studying the real process and business process mapping and then integrating ERP system. It's a great thing. So MIS, if you look at here, finance system, accounting information system, HR, logistic, we pull the data and prepare reports. But ERP system, it's all are highly integrated, and each other talks to each other and automatically update each other's system. So in traditional ERP system, subsystem share data and coordinates the activity. Thus, it sales, receive an order. It can quickly verify the inventory is sufficient to notify the shipping to process the order. So it quickly knows the inventory. So otherwise, production is notified to manufacture more of the product with a subsequent automatic adjustment of output scheme schedules. So first check, there's a process. If the inventory is there, then you release from the inventory. If inventory is not there, you start producing. If materials are inadequate for this purpose, the system will issue a purchase order to supply. If more labor is needed, HR will instruct to reassign or hire employees. The foregoing business processes should interact seamlessly in a ERP system. Um, the subsystem in a traditional ERP systems are internal to the organization. I mean, it's internal. Entire internal organization process improvements only we are doing. Hence, they are often called a back office function. The information produced is primarily intended for internal use by the organization manager. So the current generation of ERP software has added front office function. This connects the organization with customers, suppliers, owners, creditors, and strategic alliance. Example, the number of trading community or other business association. So moreover, the current generation of ERP software also provides the capability for smooth and instant interaction with the business processes of external parties. And the newer ERP systems integration with the firm's back office function enable supply chain management, customer relationship management, and partner relationship management to manage. So they are integrated with the back office function. So ERP is a complete automation of a company on the four pillars of the company: HR, marketing, finance, and operation. So any organization will sit on these four pillars. So these four pillars, we identify processes. So those processes we computerize with the ERP system. The disadvantage of ERPs are its extent and complexity, which makes implementation difficult and costly. So companies with legacy ERP systems are moving to cloud-based ERP system. So advantage of cloud is flexibility and agility of the cloud ERP, centralized data storage, sharing of data processing tasks, internet-based access to services and resources. So those are the things that you get as advantage. So I think that ends uh, the lecture 6 part B. Let's move into the next lecture. Yes, let's move into lecture 7 part A. So all these slides are updated into that tiny URL. So you can download all the lecture slides, the textbooks, and the relevant videos that I'm playing during the lecture time. Okay. So here in lecture 7, we are looking at IT framework and data analysis. So we are going to look at IT control frameworks and international organization for standardization, ISO framework. So first, today, the whole objective is to look at the IT control frameworks. And probably next week, as the lecture 7 part, we will look at aspect of automating information processing, IT controls, and data analytics. Okay. So, okay, before that, I forgot to tell you that we were talking about software licensing model last time, last lecture. And I have included the software legal licensing models a document, which is your tiny URL. So here, end user license agreements, software license agreements, software application end user licensing agreement. So various models are there in software licensing. So general license types, non-production license, evaluation license, e-business license, limited use licenses, read-only license model, runtime licenses. Then you get the name user license model. Um, then you have the name users or concurrently people who can use it, concurrent user license. So different like transaction per license model, server license model, CPU license model, you know, SAP and all that, sometimes in the cloud they use the CPU license, program instance license model, cluster license model, miscellaneous license, volume capacity based license model, connectivity product license model, and the stream serve transaction based license model, product specific use restriction and limitation. So, this is a very complete document. You don't have to just study, use, but if you, this is covered every software license, various methods of licensing, people do. So, this documents models of license. Okay, this is license model. So, this is for your reference only. I'm giving it. It is not required for the examination purpose to study all the licensing models, But since you're in audit, when you're doing IT audit, you get sometimes confused with the various vendors licensing model, So that's what you need to know. Okay, so let's look at the IT framework and data analytics in lecture 7, part A. So this study unit is the first for covering domain 3 information technology from IIA CIA exam syllabus. So this domain makes up 20% of the part 3 of the CI exam and tested at the basic cognitive level. The study unit also cover the data analytics. So basic cognitive level, you need to know about licenses, but as I told you, you don't have to go very, you know, deep into like various concurrent, end user license, name user license, various licensing models I explained. So you don't have to know about it, but that's for better information only I have given that down. Okay? But here we are looking at from the exam the basic cognitive level. So we are looking at the IT controls, IT control framework and ISO frameworks. So IT control frameworks and international organization for standardization (ISO). So we can see that this increasing integration of control automated system with the organization's overall system of internal control is most clearly displayed in the various methods like ESAC, copy frameworks. These, doc these documents discuss some length the role played by automated system pursuing the organization mission, safeguarding the assets. So candidate for CI exam must be aware not just of detailed controls, such as field checks, but also the role that controls of IT in the organization strategy implementation. So that's the whole idea of teaching this area for the CA exam. Give me one. Oh, then okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. It'll be another qualified another one. Uh-huh. can palpitate ability many make the team. Uh-huh. Uh, then මට යන්න තියෙනවා ආපිකෝෆයි උත්තර අනෝචිත හරිද ඔව් දැන් මේක පුත කරන්න රෙකෝඩින් හරි ඔව් ඒතර අනෝචි යනකොට එන්නේ මේ දෙක මට පොඩ්ඩක් ක්‍රෑෂ් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ හැබැයි රිචඩ් පීස් එක 10ට තියෙනවා ඔයාගේ තියෙන විදිහට 10 මාර්ක් හරි 10 මාර්ක් නම් කියවෙන්න බෑ නේද හරි හරි මම ඔයාලට එන්නම් මම පුළුවන් නම් රිජෙක්ට් පීස් එකට ගිහලා ඔළුව දාලා එතනින් එන්නම් මම මේ කෙලිම ඔතන ළඟින් හරිද ඔයා මට ලොකේෂන් එක හරිද කියන්න පාකින් කියනවා කියන්න හරිද හරිද ඕකේ හරි බයි ඕකේ yeah sorry about it uh, so these are the IT control frameworks and ISO frameworks um, uh, I mean, there are few frameworks that you can use it for IT control frameworks. One is ISO, COSO, COBIT, ITIA, ESAC, GTAC. So these will be very detailed. We are going to discuss, during today's lecture. So I'm just giving you a understand when I'm discussing in details. So ISO framework is on quality assurance. The focus area is on general operation and applicable to any industry. And commonalities are like what is common is ensure quality, customer trust, and things like that. And the differences are primarily quality focused, applicable widely. If you look at COSO framework, the purpose is organizational control. And focus area is operational, financial, and compliance. Any industry you can apply, and it manages risk, financial, and operational compliance control, and focus on various close risk management. If you look at the COBIT framework, IT governance and management purpose. Focus area is normally for technology systems, not operational or whatever. I mean, quality assurance, ISO, which does it, doesn't do it on technology, IT systems. So we are basically applicable for IT governance. So COBIT is for the IT governance. Align IT with business, controls the technology. It focuses, aligns IT with business goals. IT with business goals. ITIL is mainly on the IT service management. And it looks at only services like annual maintenance and the warranties and stuff like that. And cost and operation and all that, how we're going to provide the services to the, so it's IT services. And the manages IT services is smooth operation because a global company, if you can't, if you're not ITIL certified company, then how do you know whether when you purchase the software or hardware, you get the services? Focus on IT services, processes, and implements. ESAC is a electronic system control purpose. This is for digital operations, especially applicability for e-business. If you're running e-business, ESAC certified means it's good. Ensure controls over e-business and so e-business and digital control frame. GTAC is for IT auditing purpose. Controls assessment, and it does the IT auditing. assessors control, ensure risk mitigation, IT auditing, and risk assessment system. So these are the frameworks that we're going to look at. Now you might ask, okay, my God, I'm going to do all these frameworks in my company. No. So you have to pick and choose based on your interest. What sort of a framework that you're going to use it for? IT governance, IT service management, depending on your business. And then get yourself certified with international standard so that it will have a less risk and you can provide a good service. So, I mean, I just put that slide in front before I go into detailed discussion on each of these frameworks. Purpose, but the focus area was the applicability, commonalities, what is common in these things. So, so then you're very clear, how you can position any of these frameworks for your business, to get it. Like a lot of people think, okay, this will fulfill everything. No, it won't fulfill everything. Some people say, okay, I have the IT copy, it will do it. So no, it does only the IT governance, only for technology systems. What about the other things? Like the internal documentation, quality. How do you get the customer trust? For that, probably you have to have ISO certification. So like that, you have to have combinations, good stakeholder confidence, shareholder confidence. You have to do it. So first, we look at these control frameworks. A control framework is a model for establishing a system of internal controls. The framework does not prescribe the actual controls themselves, but it does influence the management to focus on risk areas and design control accordingly. So often, control framework describe families of controls, that is conceptual grouping of controls that attempt to address a particular type of risk exposure. So ITIL, the first we will look at this ITIL, this framework, consider ITIL, IT service management framework, to manage the IT services and ensure the smooth operation is framework. The ITIL is a product of Axilos. Uh, that's the assist organization by focusing on allocating IT efforts to the needs of the business and supporting the core processes. So the current standards is ITIL 4 certification scheme can be adapted to the learning requirements of the individuals and other organizations. So it uses a modular tiered approach to allow you to develop a comprehensive view of service management or to focus on a specific areas of knowledge. So mainly on the services management here, IT service management, IT services processes. Okay. So this is a website of ITLS, Axilos, ITL framework 4. It's a product, as I told you, is Axilos. This is stand for, what is the, acronym? So Information Technology Infrastructure Library, ITL stand. I stand for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. This acronym was first used in the 1980s by the British government Central Computer and Telecommunication Agency when it documented dozens of best practices of IT service management and printed them for distribution. So let's look at a small video on ITIL4 big picture. And if you go to your this thing, let me just show you your tiny URL. Take you to that directory. So each of these frameworks are detailed discussed. So this is the lectures we are talking about. So if you take lecture 7A, so in this 7A, you can see my lecture slides are there. You can download it. And certain video, the Enron effects, which I'm going to play today now. And then ITILS, ITIL, you get videos. I'm going to play this one video, the big picture, connect key concepts. But you can watch this one. It is about 1 hour tutorial for beginners, so that gives you a very good picture of IITS, without reading. So if you're a little bit lazy to read the book, at least watch this video. But I'm going to give a very short video because of the time constraint. And if you want to know about ITIL, let's say your company is a service-oriented company, and then you are asked to look after this, as from the audit team to audit that ITIL. So then you can read, ITIL Foundation, 4th edition, that's the latest book. And then also you can have a foundation certified, 7 days you can understand, by reading this book on IIT Foundation, So these are the books that is there, So you have all the materials for every framework I have included there for your later reference, not from the exam point of view. I mean, you can answer the exam point of view from my slides and, whatever you are learning. But this is mainly for that, for your knowledge, okay? So then I'll go for the same thing is in my computer folders, So let me play that, the small video, because I don't have time to just play a bit.
ITIL 4, Connecting Key Concepts. ITIL 4, the latest evolution of ITIL, provides a holistic way for IT professionals and organisations around the world to co-create value in the modern service economy. All organisations have resources that need to be configured to create products that offer value to potential consumers. From these products, the organisation creates service offerings, which are designed to address the needs of consumers or consumer segments, such as quality and price. By doing so, the organisation acts as a service provider. Other organisations or individuals acting as service consumers choose the service offering that best suits their needs. They enter a service relationship to interact with the provider, which in turn generates or co-creates value for the consumer and provider. For example, a bank might create a mobile banking app for customers, but value is only co-created when the customer uses the app to pay bills or transfer money, which generates data and possibly transaction fees for the bank. Value can be shared among multiple stakeholders, for example, the provider, the consumer, suppliers, and potentially regulators and tax authorities. In turn, these stakeholders exert influence or constraints on the service provider. We can describe these using the pestle model. Political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors can impact the way the service provider manages its work and resources. ITIL 4 provides a model to describe the organisation's resources, the 4 dimensions of service management. These dimensions, organisations and people, value streams and processes, partners and suppliers, and information and technology do not exist in isolation. They overlap and interact with each other. For example, the bank needs to create appropriate management oversight to manage the data generated by its app. This requires training users on how to manage data assets, processes to deal with incidents and requests, and the required tools and technologies. At the same time, they should ensure their partners and suppliers comply with the bank's requirements. By managing the 4 dimensions, the organisation can leverage the Service Value System Model, or SVS, that describes the various organisational components of the service provider. These components are guiding principles, governance, the service value chain, practices, and the continual improvement of the whole system. The guiding principles, together with continual improvement, can help the organisation align their IT service management with lean and agile frameworks. In the middle of the SVS, we have the service value chain, which is a set of loosely connected value chain activities, which convert consumer demand into valuable products and services. Practices support and contribute to value chain activities. Practices are an evolution of the ITIL version 3 processes and are structured using the 4 dimensions model. A sequence of value chain activities designed to meet the needs of a specific scenario is called a value stream, which results in a functioning product or service. For example, the bank has a value stream that maps the activities needed to design, develop, and release new app functionality. Another value stream maps the activities needed to support user complaints. Each value stream may include different activities, but each one starts with opportunity or demand and ends with value derived from products and services. Techniques like value stream mapping can help to optimize the value stream before the organization considers automating repeatable tasks. In order to design and run a new value stream, the organisation should consider these key concepts of ITIL 4. And by adopting these key concepts together, organisations can create a flexible and effective architecture that delivers world-class IT-enabled services. Welcome to the future of ITIL.
Okay. You got a big picture of ITIA. It's a service management standard. So now let's look at the COSO. COSO framework is organizational control. The purpose is for using COSO. Here you can see organizational control. So what they are looking at, the operational, financial, and compliance. This can be applied for any industry. ILTS for only IT risk, financial, operational, compliance control. Okay, so focuses on various control risk management. So let's look at the COSO now. So COSO, probably the most well-known control framework in the US is internal control. So integrated framework, published in 1992 by the Committee of Sponsoring Organization of Tradeway Commission, that's COSO. So COSO framework is commonly referred to as COSO framework. The COSO is an acronym for the Committee of Sponsoring Organization. So this COSO word coming from this acronym, Committee of Sponsoring Organizations. So these controls provide reasonable assurance that the organization is operating ethically, transparently, and in accordance with established industry standards. So when you have the COSO standard, you don't have to worry about it. Ethical, transparent, way of doing business. The importance and the durability of the COSO framework was reinforced when the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission acknowledged it as appropriate model for designing internal controls under the requirements of Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. I'll tell you why, the COSO framework was there. So as I told you, the COSO will give a confidence of company operating ethically and transparently. And the COSO framework look at more on security. So what are the things that they're looking at? Organizational controls. operational, financial, and compliance. Now, when an organization gets bigger, what is losing is the control. And the people play politics. What is politics? People play politics. So people act for their own benefits rather than the organizational benefits. So in such a situation, you are losing this organizational controls. So this is the main reason. I mean, the Kosovo framework was there, and that has the features of the Kosovo framework been taken by the US government and brought up a new act called Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002. So there's a reason for bringing this act. The reason for bringing this act in United States in 2002 was the, the bigger company, that's energy company in US is Enron. Enron collapse happened in 2002. So Enron collapse actually create a big issue in United States market. So this Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, if that act was implemented, this type of a collapse will not happen, Enron collapse. So because there's no transparency in the whole organization, accountability, transparency was not. So the big energy giant in United States, Enron, October 16, 2001, Enron was one of the world's largest electricity and natural gas traders, reported a 618 million third quarter loss and disclosed $1.2 billion reduction of shareholder equity suddenly. So US Securities and Exchange Commission inquired into a possible conflict of interest related to the company's dealing with partnership runs by CFO Fast 2. So actually, when they really inquired this case, Enron collapse, they realized the volume of financial contract was far greater than the volume of contract to actually delivered commodities. So some partnership were faked to mask billions of dollars in debts. And this is all the work done by the CEO and the CFO together. So Enron's financial statement has been audited by Arthur Andersen, a highly regarded accounting firm. Now you might ask, if a highly regarded accounting firm like Arthur Andersen, if they have done the financial statement, how come such a collapse happened in an energy giant like Enron? Okay. Actually, then the investigation found that Anderson employees on the Enron engagement team were instructed to destroy documentation related to Enron. You might ask, okay, why Arthur Anderson, a highly regarded firm, employees and Enron employees together destroy these documents? There's a reason. Arthur Anderson Corporation was providing some consultancy services for Enron. So they paid millions of dollars for that consulting services. So the situation is, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Like, you help me, and then I will help you. So they destroyed the fund. So this was a big shock to United States. We have these all good governance. We have a reputed company. Why such things are happening? And CFO Fast has masked bogus partnership with another people and write a contracts, which was a bogus contract, can billions of dollars, and debt end up with the millions of dollars in debt. So Arthur Anderson also supported this whole thing. So what happened? The Enron scandal is out. What is the outcome of Enron scandal? Their shareholders lost an estimated $400 billion, pumping amount of money. Thousands of workers lost their jobs. Actually, I can't remember, it's 26,000 or 45,000 employees lost their jobs. 31 individuals were either charged or felt guilty for criminal charges. Judiciaries, convicted. accounting firm Arthur Andersen for obstructing justice by destroying Enron's documents. So this was alarming. 26,000 employees lost their jobs. U.S. Congress has passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. Act was designed to prevent this kind of fraud and abuse that led to the Enron downfall. So the key features of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act is designed to encourage top management accountability in the firm that are publicly traded in the United States. At that time, when it is publicly traded listed company, that financial statement need not to be signed by the CFO and CEO. With this act, they said, okay, you have to sign. You are accountable. So Title 9, financial statement filed by the Security and Exchange Commission must include a statement signed by the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Financial Officer certifying that the financial statement comply with Security and Exchange Control rules. And Title 2, auditor interdependence, limit non-audit services that the auditor can provide. Now, the problem is Arthur Andersen was paid for millions of dollars for non-audit services, consultant services. Now, this act limits the auditor's independence, not limit the auditor and limit the non-audit services that auditor can provide. So they allow certain non-audit services, but limit, because otherwise you help and he help you. Title 4, more stringent requirement of financial reporting has brought in. So to meet these internal controls report requirement by the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, the company must document the controls that are in place, verify that the controls are not subjected to error or manipulation. To comply to this act, actually, if you have this COSO framework and an ERP software, it will be easier. So because of that reason, the companies were trying to deploy ERP applications in place that has an easier time complying with the Sarbanes-Oxley Act with companies without ERP. So a lot of large American companies start deploying the ERP system because that will help to, comply with this act. And then it will be easy. ERP software also offers a very few way to delete items. Data are removed from SAP. I'm taking SAP, Oracle, Finance also, like ERP system, only after they have been recorded to a media like backup, the tape drive, or permanent storage. So ERP systems keep track of the data created or changed. So change records they keep it. So ERP has a sophisticated user administration tool that allows different levels of authorization management, ensure that the employees can perform only the transaction required for their job. And it has a profile generator, provide a simple method for selecting functions that the user should be allowed to perform. So not everything user can perform. So, what I'm trying to say is, if you were, because of this big Enron collapse, if the organization was COSO standard, COSO framework, if they have used for control framework, or if they had a ERP software, this would not happen. So let me show you this Enron, a small video that was on in the TV at that time, arresting the CEO and the CFO. So this video also I have included into your drive. So if you have missed out, you can see this video from the tiny URL.
Enron's accounting firm, Arthur Andersen, was convicted of obstructing justice. With its reputation for honesty destroyed, America's oldest accounting firm fell along with Enron, and 29,000 people lost their jobs. Enron shareholders are suing Enron and its banks for $20 billion. Ken Lay was also indicted for conspiracy to commit fraud. His attorney maintains that no one has been hurt more by the Enron bankruptcy than Ken Lay.
With today's arrest of Ken Lay, the top echelon at Enron has now been called to account for their crimes.
Mr. Lay, you have anything to say, sir?
Looking at Enron is like looking at the flip side of so much possibility, because like most things that end terribly, it didn't start out that way. It started with a lot of people who thought they were changing the world, and over time they became victims of their own hubris, victims of their own greed, and so it's like taking so much promise and possibility and looking at it in a mirror and seeing the flip side reflected back at you.
I think the larger lesson was what Enron asked of its employees, which was ask why. And, you know, I didn't ask myself why enough. I didn't ask managers why enough. I didn't ask my colleagues why enough.
So you can see that the impact, of scandals like this, so if you don't have a proper control. So COSO framework, if you had it, you will not face this problem, or ERP, any ERP system. So now let's look at the COSO framework. So COSO framework defines internal controls as a process affected by an organization, board of directors, management, and other personnel, designed to provide a reasonable assurance regarding the achievement of objectives in the following categories. So effectiveness and efficiency of operations, reliability of financial reporting, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. So COSO further describe 5 components of internal control systems, like control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring activities. So those are the things which is gone into it, so you can see when you go to the tiny URL COSO framework, you can see the videos, COSO control framework video. I'm not playing that. Yeah, let me see whether I can.
Hello, and welcome to the Office of Justice Program's Territories Financial Support Center short video presentation on the Integrated Framework for Internal Controls. In this short video, I want to highlight 5 key components for building strong internal controls in your organization. These 5 key components are part of the Integrated Framework developed in 1992 by the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission, also known as COSO. The framework was updated by COSO in 2013 and is widely used and accepted across a variety of organizations and businesses as part of an effective financial management practice. To learn more about this framework, I would encourage you to visit their website at www.coso.org. This video will provide a high-level overview and key takeaways of this framework. This video is also part of a set of materials developed by OJP TFSC that focuses on internal controls. These materials include a short video on implementing an internal controls policy and a job aid checklist, also focused on internal controls. The links to these materials are posted in the description below. So, here are the 5 key components for strong internal controls. There are a few important things to note. First, the order of the components matter. Just as you cannot construct an office building without completing the foundation, you cannot skip steps in designing, implementing, operating, and monitoring this internal control framework. Secondly, the components should not be considered discretely. Instead, they operate together as an integrated system. These components are interdependent with a multitude of interrelationships and linkages among them. So, let's briefly go through each one. Number 1, the foundation for implementing effective internal controls within your organization starts by establishing a control environment. A control environment is defined by a set of ethical values, standards, structures, and processes that have a pervasive impact on the overall system of controls. Often stated as tone at the top, building an effective control environment is directly influenced by the ability of an organization's leaders and managers to embody honesty, integrity, and build an ethical corporate culture. Next is risk assessment, which is how you identify things that threaten the achievement of your organization's objectives. Risk assessment will require management to consider the impact of possible changes in both the external and internal environment that may render internal controls ineffective. At number 3, we have control activities, which are actions performed under the direction of management to mitigate the risks to achieve the organization's objectives. Control activities are performed at all levels of the organization and throughout all stages within the business processes. An example of an essential control activity is separation of duties, which ensure that no single person has multiple roles in an accounting process. Next, we have information and communication, which is the organization's ability to convey information needed to perform control activities. This flow of information ensures that personnel, both within and outside the organization, have a clear understanding of their internal control responsibilities from senior management and that these control responsibilities must be taken seriously. Finally, we have monitoring activities, which involve identifying policies, procedures, and practices that are not working and correcting any identified deficiencies. This involves ongoing evaluations built into processes at different levels of the organization. To help better visualize this integrated framework of internal controls, COSO has developed a 3-dimensional cube representation of the key concepts. The 5 key components, which I just described, are represented by the rows that go across the cube. The 3 objectives, operations, reporting, and compliance, are represented by columns. These objectives are what your organization strives to achieve. Operation objectives pertain to the effectiveness and efficiency of your organization's operations, including operational and financial goals. Reporting objectives pertain to the internal and external financial and non-financial reporting that encompass reliability, timeliness, and transparency. Compliance objectives pertain to adherence to laws and regulations that your organization is subject to. The organization's levels of structure are represented in the 3rd dimension, allowing you to consider internal controls from individual, divisional, or operating units and/or functional levels. We know that organizational structures will vary across different types of organizations and agencies. The key takeaway here is that building and maintaining strong internal controls is a shared responsibility that cuts across all levels of an organization. Finally, I want to highlight the 17 integrated framework principles, which represent the fundamental concepts associated with the 5 components. You will see them listed out here, categorized along each of the 5 components. Because these principles are drawn directly from the components, your organization can achieve effective internal controls by applying all these principles. For a closer look at these principles, I would encourage you to review the handout by COSO. I have included a link to this handout for your reference in the video description below. In summary, the 5 key components of internal controls are needed to achieve the objectives of your organization. This system of internal controls will require the support of your entire organization to carry out their respective duties regarding internal controls. Again, I would encourage you to visit the COSO website to learn more about the integrated framework. As you can see, establishing and maintaining a strong system of internal controls is an involved process that will require everyone working together to achieve the mission and goals of your organization. Using the framework and other resources developed by COSO and OE, you can create an environment and culture that supports strong internal controls. On behalf of the Territories Financial Support Center, I want to thank you for listening.
So apart from that, I have included a book, Internal Control Audit Compliance with COSO. So this is the latest book. So if you are interested in implementing COSO, you can use this book. Or if you are already implemented COSO, and if you are monitoring and if you're in auditing, then also we can use this one. This covers everything in this model, which I have explained now. The book. But that's for the additional information. So that's not necessary, but that's for the additional information. Okay. So another framework is ESAC. Now, what is this ESAC framework? I'll go back and explain. So ESAC is an electronic system control. The purpose is for the electronic system control. ESAC framework. Here you can see. And focus area is digital operation, especially if you are in e-business. This will provide that real required control for electronic business. So electronic business, e-commerce type of organization, they can use this framework. Electronic system assurance and control. In a publication of IIA, the purpose of ESAC is to provide an internal control framework for e-business. In the ESAC model, the organization internal processes accept input and produce output. So what are the input? The mission, values, strategies, and objectives. What are the output? Results, reputation, and learning. You can't lose results, you can't lose reputation, you can't lose learning. The ESAC model broad control objective are to influence by those in COSO framework. Now, especially if you're in electronic business, e-commerce, e-business, what is important is results, as well as very important reputation. Because if your e-commerce side reputation goes down, nobody will be placing orders with you. So, and also by doing this e-commerce, what's the learning? So one side you have inputs, the mission, values, strategies, and objectives. So we are looking at in the SAC model, broad control objectives, like operating efficiencies, effectiveness, and efficiency. By doing e-commerce, what is the operational effectiveness and efficiency? Reporting of financial and other management information. How do we report financial and other management information? So operating effectiveness and efficiency. So in e-commerce, if you are delivering goods onto houses, so how effectively, efficiently your system will cater for that. Reporting financial and other management information. Compliance with laws and regulations. So different countries like United States, there are laws and regulations. You can return the goods. You don't have to tell a reason for returning the goods. You can take a cloth, you can put it, go home and open the pack and wear it and say, I don't like it now. Next day you can come and return it. How to safeguard the assets. So these things you have to look at in an e-commerce business, So this is a business IT business assurance objective fall into 5 categories. Now, why IT business assurance is important? Because in electronic commerce business, e-commerce, IT plays a wider role. Availability. The organization must ensure that the information, processes, and services are available all time, 24/7. The processes. The site should be up and running for 25/7 e-commerce site. So you can't just go to Amazon and say, okay, it's down today. I will wait for another 1 hour and place the order. So you have to have a site availability. E-commerce site has to be available. Otherwise, you can't place any orders if the availability is not. So the customers lose confidence if it is not available. Capability. The organization must assure reliable and timely completion of transaction. I mean, when you make the payment, it should appear that the payment is done and now it's ready for delivery. The steps should be shown where the process. So how the timely completion of transaction is completed, now you should get the delivery timelines. Functionality. The organization must assure that the system designed to user specifications and fulfill business requirements. So it has to be basically the functionalities has to be there, in a electronic business, I mean, let's look at, I look at, so these things, whether if they can get this, the standards for this business, I think then they can do great. So let's look at, for example, e-business sites like Keels, Super Online. So let's go to the Keels Super Online. Now, these type of, when you are in the e-business, so if you're already registered, login. I can't remember my registration. Okay. So you should be able to place the orders. You can track it, and the site should be available. So, and also that it has to have that. I'm not sure whether these sites are ESAC certified. So let me just check that. Okay, no, you don't get anything ESAC certified. So I don't think, so this is better, so if you have that ESAC certification, you are better off, in delivering such service. You can probably take local examples, um, um, predictability. The organization must assure that a combination of physical and logical controls prevent unauthorized access to our use of the system data. So that also protectability has to be there. Unauthorized access of system data. I mean, my user login and password should not expose. My NIC card data should not go in. So protectability has to be there. If I onboarded some of these credit card or debit card and save their in location, that has to be protected. So that has to have these PCI standards, PADSS standards. So if they're keeping in, or if they're not keeping in the system, normally it won't happen that they can keep in the system, it's encrypted. So the accountability, the organization must assure that the transaction processing is accurate, complete, and non-refutable. So finally, when you place the order with Keys Super, that accountability is there. It's accurate and complete. So once the payment done, they should give a message it's done. So this is the framework. So dynamic environment, like you have customers, competitors, regulators, community, and owners. And then one side you have your mission, value, and strategies and objectives. Other side you have to bring some results, reputation, and learning. You have to keep it. So this market forces and velocity. Velocity means your speed also required. And from this external interdependencies like providers, alliances, and the agents. And then you had to do internally operating, reporting, compliance, and safeguarding, people, technology, processes, investment, and communication. So availability, capability, functionality, predictability, and accountability has to be there. So especially on e-commerce business. So that's what ESAC is. Very good for e-commerce business. So having studied that ESAC, now let's go to the COBIT. So what is COBIT? So COBIT is a purpose is for the COBIT is to make IT governance management. So especially the focus area is technology system, not the normal business process, the technology, not the documentation. If you want documentation, general operation, you go 5 years, so 9,000. COBIT is for IT governance management and align IT with business and control technology. So they say whether how the IT is aligned with the business. IT focus, align IT with business goals. So that's the whole objective of COBIT. So initially COBIT 4.1 was there, now we have COBIT 5. So specifically for IT controls, the best known framework for control objective for information and related technology, that's COBIT. So that's the acronym. The version 4.1 is the framework was published in 2007 by the IT Governance Institute. So COBIT is a product of ISA CA, released the COBIT 5 in April 2012. The COBIT 5 consolidated the principles of COBIT 4.1. So COBIT is an IT governance framework for business wanting to implement, monitor, and improve IT management best practices. So COBIT is a prompt for a control objective, for information technologies, related technologies. So COBIT created by ISACA for an independent non-profit global association that engage in development, adaptation, and use of globally accepted information systems, knowledge, and practice. This was previously known as ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association, but now goes as a acronym only. I don't explain that ISACA is, now we don't say Information Systems Audit and Control Association. So COBIT 4.1, automated information systems have been woven into every function of the modern organization, making IT governance an integral part of overall organizational governance. The COBIT model for IT governance contains 5 focus areas: strategic alignment, value delivery, resource management, risk management, and performance measurement. I will explain the strategic alignment a little later. So COVID 4.1 framework embodied the characteristics of business focused, process oriented, control based, measurement driven. So why we develop these process based organization? We study the business process and draw the diagram, process diagrams, and use ERPs for automating. Because without a proper process, you cannot deliver a quality support or service, So each characteristics contains a multiple components. Business focus. The characteristics list 7 distinct but overlapping information criteria like effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and reliability. So the business goals must feed IT goals, which in turn allows the organization to design the appropriate enterprise architecture for it. IT resources include application, information, infrastructure, and people. So it has to be business focused. And also it has to be process focused. And it has to have a proper plan and organizing method, acquiring and implementing, deliver and support and monitor anyway. And also, so each characteristics contain multiple components. If it is a control base, means an IT control objective is a statement of the desired results of a purpose to be achieved by implementing a control procedures in a particular IT activity. So COVID describes control in 3 areas: the process control, business control, and IT general control, which I explained earlier. So if you take process control, operational management uses processes to organize and managing ongoing IT activity. Then the business control, these affect the IT at 3 levels: the executive management level and business process level and the IT support level. And IT general controls and application control. The distinction of IT control is of very long standing. So general controls are those controls embodied into IT processes and services. Controls embodied into business process application, referred to as application controls. Okay. So each characteristics contains multiple components like measurement driven. The centerpiece of the COVID framework is in this area is a maturity model. The maturity model focuses on 3 dimensions of the maturity: capability, coverage, and the organization must rate how well managed its processes are, the suggested stable, defined, managed, and optimized. Its benefits include the following. It helps the professionals to explain where IT process management shortcomings exist. It is used for comprehensive assessment, gap analysis, and improved planning. Measurement driven. Goals and metrics are defined in COVID at 3 levels. IT goals and matrices that define what the business expects from IT. That IT has to be aligned with the business. IT has to be aligned with the business, and they should know what is business expects. The process goals and metrics that define the IT process must deliver to support IT objectives. Process goals and metrics, and the process performance metrics. All this has to be driven on measurement driven. So now we are using not 4.1, we use COVID 5 framework for IT governance and management. As was previously mentioned, COVID is the best known control and governance framework that addresses information technology. In its original version, COVID was focused on control for specific IT processes. Over the years, information technology has gradually pervaded every facet of the organization operation. It can no longer be viewed as a function distinct from other aspects of the organization. The evolution of COVID has reflected this change in the nature of IT within the organization. So the control framework are intended for use by anyone in the organization who has control responsibilities, not just auditors or senior management. So let me give you a presentation, a separate presentation, which with the more elaborated one with COVID introduction, COVID-5 introduction presentation. So that will give you a better picture than this one in a nutshell. So the glimpse material on COVID explanation can be enhanced by this presentation. So let me give you a presentation on. Let me go to COVID first. I have included a book for enabling processes, that I will show you. So enabling processes on COVID-5. So let me just go to that presentation. So COVID-5 introduction. Let's look at the executive summary. So information is the key resource for all enterprise. Information is created, used, retained, disclosed, and destroyed. Information play a key role in these actions. Technology plays a key role in these actions. So technology is becoming pervasive in all aspects of business and personal life. So what benefits do information and technology brings to the enterprise? So enterprise and their executives try to maintain quality information to support business decisions. So generate business value from IT enabling investment, that is achieve strategic goals and realize business benefit through effective and innovative use of IT. Achieve operational excellence through reliable and efficient application of technology. Maintain IT-related risk at an acceptable level. Optimize the cost of IT services and technology. How can these benefits be realized to create an enterprise stakeholder value? Let's ask this question. So stakeholder value. What stakeholders want? Delivering enterprise stakeholder value requires good governance and management. So these COVID frameworks provide this good governance and management of information and technologies assets. So here we are, it's more COVID is on more technology assets. Enterprise boards, executives and management have to embrace IT like any other significant part of the business. The external legal, regulatory, and contractual compliance requirements related to the enterprise use of information and technology are increasing, threatening the value if breached. So COVID-5 provides a comprehensive framework that assists enterprise to achieve their goals and deliver value through effective governance and management of enterprise IT. Okay, so that's a good thing. So if you have COVID-5, provides a comprehensive framework that assists enterprise to achieve their goals and deliver value through effective governance and management of enterprise IT. So it simply started, COVID-5 has the enterprises to create an optimal value from IT by maintaining a balance between realizing benefits and optimizing the risk level. It's not minimizing the risk level, it's optimizing the risk level and resource use, I mean, you can't do a business by minimizing the risk. You have to optimize. Because one side you want to realize the benefits and then optimize the risk. So COVID-5 enable information and related technology to be governed and managed in a holistic manner for the entire enterprise, taking it on full end-to-end business and functional areas of responsibility. So considering the IT-related interest of internal and external stakeholders. So COVID-5 principles and enablers are generally and useful for enterprise of all sizes, whether commercial, not-for-profit, or public sector. You can use it for anything. So the principles are, the 5 principles are like meeting stakeholder needs. The first one. Right, first thing, meet the stakeholder needs. What the stakeholders, shareholders, employees, customers, all. And covering the enterprise end to end. So to cover the enterprise end to end, applying single integrated framework. You can't have multiple frameworks and get this achieved on the IT governance. So that's what, single, enabling a holistic approach and separating governance from management. So that's very important. Governance part and the management part has to be separated. So if you are COVID-5 compliance, that has to be separated. The management is not sitting in governance, or governance will not sit in management. So the principles, policies, and so these are the enablers. So principal policies and frameworks enable the processes, organizational structure, culture, and ethical behavior, and also information, service infrastructure, application, and people skills and competency. These are the enablers. So if people has competency, it enables the COVID-5 implementation faster. So let's look at a little bit of it before we again start discussing on COVID-5 governance and management. So why we have to separate governance and management? So governance ensure that the enterprise objectives are achieved by evaluating shareholders' needs, conditions, and options, setting direction through prioritization and decision making, and monitoring performance. So compliance and progress against agreed on direction and objectives. So EDM. So governance team, the board of directors, need to evaluate, direct the management, and monitor the performance. EDM. So that's called governance. Okay. Management plans, builds, runs, and monitors. Activities in alignment with the direction set by the governance body to achieve the enterprise objectives. So that's called a PBR. Plan, build, runs, and monitor. So COVID-5 brings together the 5 principles that allow the enterprise to build an effective governance and management framework based on the holistic set of 7 enablers that optimize information technology investment and use of the benefits for the stakeholders. So before getting to the COVID-5 governance framework 5 principles, let me explain the Sri Lankan governance structure. In corporate governance. So board of directors. So corporation. Corporation is a mechanism established to allow different parties to contribute. Now, why we work for corporation? So we allow different people to come and contribute the capital. Some can contribute the expertise. Some will provide their labor on a mutual benefit. So mutual benefits either paid or something. So okay. So the corporations is governed by the board of directors that oversees the top management with the concurrence of the stakeholders. So stakeholders oversees the top management. But corporate governance is about promoting corporate fairness, transparency, and accountability. So fairness, transparency, and okay. Now, corporate governance is the system by which corporations are directed and controlled. The corporate governance structure specifies the contribution of rights and responsibilities among different participants in the corporation, such as board, managers, shareholders, and other stakeholders, and spell out the rules and procedures for making decisions on corporate affairs. By doing this, it also provides the structure through which the company objectives are set and the means for attaining these objectives and monitoring performance. So corporate governance refers to a relationship among the board of directors, top management, and shareholders to determine the direction and performance of the corporation. Now, Sri Lankan governance structure is you have the board of directors, executive and non-executive directors, and they are in committees. Normally, independent directors are in committees. Then the CEO is here. Then the shareholders. So shareholders appoint board of directors process. But if it is a state organization, then the finance ministry and some other professionals they will assign to make sure that this. Okay. So shareholders are represented by board of directors, proxy. External governance mechanism. Employees are a stakeholder. External auditors. So external auditors always see whether everything is going right, no corruption, nothing. So external environment is government is looking after it on taxes, foreign international individual investors, creditors, and customers. So you need to manage this. So if you look at, I took this as a Bank of Ceylon structure, I mean, typically in Sri Lanka, many organization structures are like that. On the top, you have the shareholders, and external auditors are reporting to the shareholders. So there's no legal distinction between executive and non-executive directors. Non-executive directors have the same legal, judiciary, ethical responsibilities for potential liabilities as their executive counterpart. So here in the BOC, the shareholders delegate power to the board of directors. So they are the chairman, CEO, and executive directors and non-executive directors are there. So in Bacasilan, executive directors look after these functional areas like financial reporting, risk management. Okay. So they will be executive director look at financial risk management, internal controls, and conduct of business and other operation matters. And these functions will be monitored by the internal auditors. So non-executive directors are in the audit committees, remuneration committees, and nomination committees, and they are also monitored. Okay. So the management is separated, employees and management. So they'll be monitored by the audit committees, remuneration committees, and nomination committees. But they are not given the instruction by the functional area like financial report and the MD. They'll be overlooking, but they have independence to manage it. So that's what we do it. Now let's look at the COVID-5 frame. So let's come. Evolution of scope. COVID-1 mainly looked at the audit, and COVID-2 looked at the controls. COVID-3 added the management. COVID-4 IT governance. COVID-5 governance and enterprise IT. This is how it has evolved. Now let's look at COVID-5. The main overarching COVID-5 products contains the executive summary and the full description of overall COVID-5 framework components. It has 5 COVID-5 principles, the 7 COVID-5 soul rules. COVID-5 principles and principles. An introduction to the implementation guidance provided by IIA. Okay. So these are the like enable. You have professional guide. Get this product family COVID-5 implementation. This is for additional information. I'm going out from the site and run another program. COVID-5 information security, assurance, risk. Okay. Risk, assurance, and the security. So then you have the COVID-5 online collaborative environment. Now let's look at the COVID-5 principles. Meeting stakeholder needs, the slide I explained, covering the enterprise end-to-end, applying single integrated framework. So these are the 5 principles: meeting the stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end-to-end, applying single integrated framework, enabling the whole holistic approach, separating governance from management. So governance has to be separate, management should be separate. Sorry about it. So this slide deck also, I have put it as additional slide deck for COVID-5 for more knowledge. Okay. So principle one, making stakeholders need. So enterprise for stakeholders. You have to create value creation, benefit realization, risk optimization, resource optimization. It's not risk minimization, risk optimization. There is no way to risk minimize. So if you try to take less risk, and there won't be, either you will not get business benefit realization or resource optimization. It's an optimization. Making stakeholder needs. Enterprise have many stakeholders and create values means difficult and sometimes conflicting things to each of them. So governance is about negotiating and deciding among the different stakeholders' value interests. The governance system should consider all stakeholders when making benefits, resources, and risk assessment decisions. For each decision, the following can and should be asked. Who receives the benefits? Who bear the risk? What resources are required? Who receives the benefits? Who bear the risk? What resources are required? So principle one, making stakeholder needs, stakeholder needs have to be transformed into enterprise practical strategy. So COVID-5 goals cascade translates stakeholder needs into specific practical and customized goals within the context of enterprise, IT enable goals and enabler goals. So this one. Enterprise goals, stakeholder needs when it is satisfied, enterprise goals, IT related goals, and enabler goals. So how do we make benefit? What is the benefits of COVID-5 goals cascade? It allows the definition of priorities for implementation, improvement, and assurance of enterprise governance of IT-based objectives on the enterprise and the related. In practice, goals cascade. I mean, this is for the additional knowledge only. I'm reading this slide. Define relevant and tangible goals and objectives at various levels of responsibility. Filter the knowledge based off COVID-5, based on enterprise goals and exact relevant guidance for inclusion in specific implementation, improvement, and assurance projects. So clearly identify the communication, how sometimes very operational enables to implement the achieve enterprise goals. So communication is very important. Look at the principle 2, covering the enterprise end to end. So COVID-5 addresses the governance and management of information and related technology from the enterprise-wide, end to end. So what this means? Integrate governance of enterprise IT into enterprise governance. That is, governance system for enterprise IT proposed by COVID-5 integrates seamlessly in many governance systems because COVID-5 aligns with the latest views of governance. So cover all function and processes within the enterprise. So here COVID-5 does not focus only on IT function, but treat information and related technologies as assets that need to be dealt with just like another assets by everyone in the enterprise. So this is the model. So covering the enterprise end to end. So one side you have governance objectives, value creation. So then you have to do risk optimization, resource optimization we discussed. So these are governance enablers and the governance scope. And roles achieve roles, activities, and relationships. And these are the roles, activities, and relationships. Owners and stakeholders delegate to governing body, and they are accountable for the owners and stakeholders. And governing body self-direction to management. And management in monitor governance body. Okay. So this is the way that covering the enterprise end to end. So applying a single integrated framework. The COVID-5 align with the latest relevant other standards and framework used by enterprises like POSO, ERM, ISO 9000, ISO 31000. Integrates all of them, so then you don't have to have all that, if you have COVID-5. So IT related ISO 38500, ITIL. So these are enterprise related ones covered, like, the processors, safety, and, things like that, this IT related one, IT 38,500, ITIL, 27,000 series, about security, 2GAF, PM Book Prince 2, and CMMI. This allowed the enterprises used to COVID-5 as the overarching governance and management framework integrated. So you don't have to multiply. Now, POSOs, these are all that integrated into COVID-5. It is not that it is integrated. No point, because if the COVID-5 compliance means you have a some sort. So ICA plans the capabilities of so they uses mapping practices to activities to third-party references. So you're clear on that. So then enterprises and IT-related stuff, majority of them in the other standards are covered in COVID-5. So COVID-5 enablers are factors that individually and collectively influence whether something will work in case of COVID governance and management over enterprise IT. Driven by goals, this cascade, the higher level of IT-related goals. Okay. So these are the enablers. Principal policies and framework, which we discuss, processes, organized structure, culture. This slide we discuss in that other module. So the holistic approach of enablers are processes. Describe an organization set of practices and activities to achieve certain objectives and produce a set of outputs in support to achieve overall IT-related goals. So structure are the key decision-making entities in the organization. Then culture, ethics, and behavior of individuals and the organization, often underestimate the success factors of governance and management activities. So you need to know about culture, ethics, and behaviors. So sometimes what will happen when you underestimate the success factors of governance and management. Okay. So culture, principle, policies, and framework are the vehicles that translate desired behavior into practical guidance for day-to-day management. That the information is pursued through any organization, deal with all information produced and used by the enterprise. Information is required for keeping the organization more organized, running, and well governed. But at the operational level, information is a key, often key product of the enterprise itself. Then you look at the service infrastructure and application, included in the infrastructure, technology, and application that provides the enterprise with information technology processing and service. Okay, so then people, skill, competence is all that is here to look at. We will be looking at in COVID-5 to make a decision and give a correct marks. Principle 4 is enabling the holistic approach. Systematic governance and management through interconnected enablers. To achieve the main objective of the enterprise, it must always consider interconnected set of enablers. So the input of other enablers to be fully effective. That processes need information, organization structure, and the skills and the behavior. Delivers output to the benefit of the state enablers, process, delivery information, skills, and this. This is a key principle emerging from ISA development work around on business model for information security. So COVID-5 enablers dimensions are the all enablers have a set of common dimensions, a set of common decisions dimensions. Provide common, simple, and structured way to deal with enablers. Allow an entity to manage its complex interactions. Facilitate successful outcome of enablers. Principle 5. Separating governance from management, as I told you in the board and the management. COVID-5 frameworks makes a clear distinction between governance and management. These two disciplines encompasses different types of activities, require different organization structure, serve different purpose. Governance. In most enterprises, governance is the responsibility of the board of directors under the leadership of chairperson. Management is the most, in most enterprises, management is the responsibility of the executive management under the leadership of the CEO. Principle 5. Separating governance from management. So governance ensure that the stakeholders' needs, conditions, and options are evaluated to determine balance agreed on enterprise objectives to be achieved, setting direction through prioritization and decision making, and monitoring performance and compliance against the agreed direction and objective. So EDM stand for evaluated, directing, and monitoring. So this directing and monitoring. So then I said there's a management plans, builds, runs, and monitor. So activities in alignment with the direction set by the governance body. So this idea has been taken by PBRM, means plan, build, management plan, build, runs, and monitor. So activities in alignment with the direction set by the governance body to achieve enterprise objectives. So separation, the same thing continue. COVID-5 is not prescriptive, but it advocates the organization to implement governance and processes such as key areas of our. So governance and management has to be monitored. But the business team plan, build, run, monitor. Okay, now let's look at this. The COVID-5 framework describes 7 categories of enablers. Processes are one category. An enterprise can organize its processes as it sees fit, as long as all the necessary governance and management activities are covered. So we discussed, process reference model, these things we discussed. So what are the enabling processes, COVID-5? So this book also I have attached the enabling processes, you read, you can quickly master these enabling processes. So enabling processes complements COVID-5 and contains detailed reference guide for the proposals that are defined in the COVID-5 process reference model. So in that book, if you recall this particular book, different chapters are there. So chapter 2 describes goals cascade in a this thing. Chapter 3 describes the process model. Chapter 4 shows the diagram of the process reference model. Chapter 5 describes the detailed process information for all 37.5 processes in the process reference model. So this will be discussed in this one. So one side, enabler dimensions are stakeholders, goals, life cycle, good practice. And enabler performance management is the metrics for achievement of goals. So this, you can see this model. This you can all that you can read if you are detail going into COVID-5 enabling processor. Here, this of course we don't have to go to these details, So I'm just giving you some sort of a governance and how they do it. And then here this talks about the implementation, So this is the implementation framework. So this is for your information. And we will not look at what are the future supporting products, the COVID, where the direction he's heading. So that's this presentation I have done it a little bit of a as extra. That's not required for your examination purpose. This knowledge is more than sufficient. So, I mean, I covered this part in the previous framework presentation. Effectiveness, information, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, and availability is the thing that they're looking at in the COVID-5 implementation. So when you use that, use the get a implementer, and then he will explain all that. Okay. And information criteria in this model is, there are 7 criteria: effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and the reliability. So IT governance focus areas are the strategic alignment. So strategic alignment is very important. Focus on ensuring the linkage of business and IT. So you need to properly link business and IT plans, defining, maintaining, and validating the IT value proposition, and aligning IT operation with enterprise operation. Strategic alignment. Now let me explain to you the strategic alignment. Aligning business and IT plans are very important. I'll explain you why it is important, and some organization could align and they lost business. I'll give you examples. So if they For example, I'll take in DSI roof tiles. That example, I'll take it. If that company has gone through that COVID-5, then this problem would not arise. Let me explain that part. So this is also that presentation. All these presentations, additional presentations are there in your tiny URL. Nothing not there. All are there. So this is a strategic alignment model. So you need to align your business strategy with the information technology strategy. And based on the business strategy only, you decide on organizational infrastructure and process. And based on information strategy only, information system infrastructure and process. So this is business domain. This is IT domain. This has to be aligned. And these are focus on internal. These are business strategy, focus on externally how we are going to get, So this has to be aligned. Right. So the business strategy talks about business scope, distinction, competencies, distinctive competencies, and business governance. Organizational infrastructure and processes describe administrative infrastructure, processes, organizational skills. IT strategy, technology scopes, your capabilities and the infrastructure. What are the distinctive IT competences and IT governance? Information system infrastructure and processes talks about application infrastructure, processes, and IS skill, information system skills. So this has to be aligned. Business strategy and the information technology strategy has to be aligned. So these slides explain how you should align that. Now let's take, for example, these DSI register tiles, the issue. So they had these nice, beautiful tiles, roof tiles. And these are the tiles they have produced, different color tiles, fungus free. And they had the total roofing solution team also to make roofs. And our roof tiling industry was in a nearly dead situation in 2013, under Basil Rajapaksa. He tried to uplift that roof tiling industry, nearly dying industry. He did some work, but that didn't work out very well. So because they didn't understand the root cause of that. So there are 256 small tile factories out of the total 212 in Venapur, Katan, and Katugampal. And these factories, which sometimes back manufactured Eurocalcite and other types of productions. So under Divi Nagama, they're trying to do that according to this thing, but there are nearly about employing 15,000 indirectly and 7,200 people directly. And total dependence will be around 178,000 in this tile industry. Now if you look at a very old house, the biggest problem is different tiles. Doesn't looks good and you have to replace, and then tile breaks and then big issues, you have to do it. So this is the DSI tiles house. Now, what was the biggest problem they had, when they manufacture the tiles? How you are going to distribute it? So your business strategy did not align with that IT strategy. So if can they have their own showrooms? It's very costly to have a tile showrooms. Then your tile prices will go up, and then you will not be able to sell it. Anyway, tile prices are higher than the business. So can DSI try to sell the roof tile on the other showrooms if they don't do it, like floor tiles and wall tile showrooms? Get a small piece of area, and then display your tiles. No, you can't do that, because by the time when they come to see the floor tiles and wall tiles, they have done the roof. So that means it's too late, you showcasing your roof tiles in the floor tile company or a wall tile company. If they come to put the floor tiles and wall tile after fixing the roof. Then only they realize, okay, my God, you have roof tiles, we didn't know that, we bought asbestos. So buying decision on roof tiles happened before floor tiles. So then what's the solution, I mean, if you can't put your own showrooms and use other showrooms, then you might say, okay, we'll go to these hardware stores and sell it. But they don't like it because the thing is handling handling is very difficult, And there are many types of tiles, storing is also difficult, not like asbestos. They are not motivated. They can earn more money by selling asbestos. So you see that there's a serious in a business strategy and the IT strategy. So what happened? So DSI tiles domestic operation was not so successful. But their overseas export operation is successful because you're only exporting, you're not distributing that directly to the client, In Australia and a few countries, they have exported. And those countries, the major complaint came is, don't make it fungus free, let's make it fungus, because they like to be natural. So it with the fungus, but Sri Lanka likes fungus free ones, to have a clean roof. They like it more nature connected roof, Okay, that's the difference. So there's a total disconnect on the IT strategy and the business strategy. So they fail in the local market, So now how do they align this business strategy and the IT strategy? In order to align to these, they could have done that. At least they can keep some sample tiles in their DSI shoe showrooms. At least take a rack and keep it there, but not the real stock. Let the customer visit and touch the sample tiles and take samples, and if they want to see whether that fit it into their roof. But then they can probably go and order it directly to the site, and they'll be delivering into the home. So they could have done online because business strategy does not align with the IT strategy. So they could have said, okay, place the order, but we have sample tiles. And we will create a, train roof tile specialist network so that you can hire anybody and get it. So they could have done that, so try out that. One web, no showrooms, less cost. And you're trying to get the benefit to the client and tell them, look here, why we don't have showroom, but we are using only the showrooms, existing showrooms of DSI, but keep only a rack. We can't keep the entire stock there. But you can take those samples and check with our roof tiling specialist, which one goes for you. And then you can start doing it and order it, it comes directly there to home. You can order any quantity. But the samples are available in DSI. So that could have done at least to resolve this, the issue with the information technology strategy does not align with the business strategy. They could have done that. Okay, let's go to the main one. So I'm just explaining you the strategic alignment. So if they went through the COVID-5 certification, then this problem could have been addressed. Then the value delivery is about executing the value proposition throughout the delivery cycle, ensuring that IT delivers the promised benefit against the strategy, concentrating on optimizing cost and proving the intrinsic value of IT. Then the resource management is about optimal investment in and the proper management of critical IT resources. So COVID-5 framework for IT governance and management. The IT governance focus area at IT risk, the business risk associated with the use, ownership, operation involvement, influence, and adaptation of IT within an enterprise organization. Then the risk management involves risk awareness, by senior corporate officers' understanding of compliance requirement, transparency about significant risks to the enterprise, and embedding risk management responsibility into the organization. And then the performance management tracks and monitor the strategy implementation, project completion, resource usage, process performance, and service delivery. So COVID-5 divides governance and management objective into 5 domains. Governance to evaluate, direct, and monitor EDM, which I explained very well in my full presentation of COVID-5. Evaluate stakeholder needs, condition, and options. Set direction through prioritization and decision making. Monitor performance and compliance. So COVID-5 divides governance and management objectives into 5 domains. Management objectives into align, plan, and organize. Plan how IT can be used to achieve the company's goals and objectives. Build, acquire, and implement. Identify IT requirement, build, acquire technology, and incorporate into business processes. And deliver service and support. Execute and support the application of the technology and business processes. And finally, the monitor, evaluate, and assess. Monitor and evaluate whether the current IT systems and internal control system meet the company's goals and objectives. So the processes under each of the domains above are also defined. Like these 5 key principles I have covered in that detailed presentation. I'm not going to do that again. Principle 1, meeting stakeholder needs. So that will be addressed in the COVID-5. The value creation with this model and achieving balance 3 components, realization, benefit, and optimization. Risk optimization of resources. This I have discussed it very elaborately in the previous presentation. So COVID-5 also recognized that stakeholder needs are not fixed. Don't think the stakeholder needs are fixed. They evaluate the evolve under the influence of both internal factors and external factors. The needs change. These factors are collectively referred as a stakeholder drivers. So in response to the identified stakeholder needs, enterprise goals are established, and COVID-5 supplies 17 generic enterprise goals that are tied directly to the balanced scorecard model. Next, IT-related goals referred to as the alignment goals in COVID 2019 are drawn up to address the enterprise goals. So generic goals, 17 generic goals are discussed in a balanced scorecard. So here it's very broad, not only IT, everything. Generic enterprise in the balanced scorecard model, I will explain. Next, IT-related ones are discussed in COVID 2019. And finally, enables are identified that support, persuade on the IT-related goals. Categories of enablers are identified in principle 4 on the future slides. Next, we're talking about the principle 1. So COVID-5 referred to as a process described about this goal cascade. So this is the balance scorecard. 17 generic goals are directly connected to balance scorecard one. So the 17 goals, these are the 17 goals under 4 categories: financial, customer, and internal, and learning and growth. So these 17 categories of goals: stakeholder value and business investment, portfolio, and competitive products and services. These are under financial. Financial 5, customer 5, internal 5, and learning and growth 2. And here they talk about realization of governance objectives, benefit realization, risk optimization, resource optimization. We put the value, stakeholder value of business investment, benefit realization, P. P indicate there is a important relationship, and S indicate there is still a strong but less important. So stakeholder value and business investment, benefit realization is very important, but resource optimization is not important. So that's what we put S and P. Okay. So we discussed this also in details, covering the enterprise end-to-end on the principle 2. COVID-5 take the comprehensive view of all the enterprise function and processes. Information technology pervades them all. It cannot be viewed as a function distinct from other enterprises. IT governance must be integrated with enterprise governance. IT must be considered enterprise-wide end-to-end functions and processes that govern and manage information, wherever that information may be processed. Principle 3, applying a single integrated framework. In acknowledgement of the availability of multiple IT-related standards and best practices, COVID-5 provides an overall framework for enterprise IT within which standards can be constantly applied. COVID-5 was developed an overarching framework that does not address specific technical issues. The principle can be applied regardless of particular hardware software. Can we discuss one again, principle 4, enabling a holistic approach? So we look at the principal policies and frameworks to translate desired objectives into guidance, and processes are set of practices to achieve the objectives, and organizational structures are decision-making entities. The principle 4, I just discussed in the fully elaborated one. They're looking at culture, ethics, and behavior, information, services, infrastructure, and applications. So you don't have to have another ITIL because services, infrastructure, and application also covered in COVID-5. People, skills, and competencies also covered. So they look at what are the people competencies for operation and correction. Enabling holistic approach. The last three of these principle 4 enablers are also classified into resources. This use of must be optimized. Enablers are interconnected because they are need to be input to the other enablers to be fully effective. Deliver output to the benefit for the other enablers. The fifth principle is separation governance from management, which we discussed earlier also. The complexity of modern enterprise required governance and management be treated as distinct activities. In general, governance is the setting of overall objectives and monitoring progress toward these objectives. COVID-5 associate governance with the board of directors. So we separate out governance, CEO, leadership, and the management from the board of directors. So that's also covered in the COVID-5. So COVID-5 conversion to COVID 2019. COVID 2019 expands on COVID-5's key principles for governance system applicable to IT governance to include 6 governance systems principles and 3 governance framework principles that direct and regulate the entity. So governance framework is the structure upon which the governance system is built. The 6 principles for the governance systems are summarized as follows. Stakeholder value we look at, and holistic approach. We look at synergies among components interconnected in the system. So governance system components. called enablers under COVID-5. So components can be generic components applied in principle to any circumstance, or variant component designed to given purpose or a context for the focus area. So that can be generic component and the variant. So dynamic governance system. The governance system must be dynamic when dealing with the change in design factors, personal infrastructure, application, etc., and must be accomplished by considering of the systematic effect. The governance distinct from management. Governance tasks should be differentiated from management task and not combined. So governance team will different from management, board of directors. Tailored to enterprise need, governance system must be designed to meet an organization requirement. I mean, you can't have a one governance system for everything. So board of directors and the governance. Design factors affect the blueprint of the governance system. Design factors include, but not limited to, treat landscape, technology adaptation strategy, and enterprise strategy of the board. So end-to-end enterprise coverage. This emphasis is not solely on IT function, but on all oral information processes, technology that contribute to the organization goal. So then we had the following are the three principles of the governance framework. Is based on the conceptual model, and it's open and flexible integrity, and it's aligned with major standards. So the governance framework align with relevant regulations, standards, frameworks, and best practices. That is latest IT standards and compliance regulations. So COVID 2019 conversion from COVID-5 implementation approach comprised seven phases, and each phase is represented by question. Program initiation, what is the drivers? This phase involves recognizing change drivers, and establishing management desire to change. And then the B, the first one is program initiation. These are implementation approaches, problem and opportunities definition. Where are we now? And roadmap definition. Where do we want to be? And program planning. What need to be done? So these need to be addressed. And also plan execution. How do we get there? Benefit realization. Did we get there? Long-term going. It is very important in the COVID-5 conversion to COVID 2019, COVID-5 to 19. So generally, these phases can be matched with the principles of governance system. However, note that principles 6 and 7 are not matched. So you can see the principles on this side on the table, system principle and the phases. So there's a not matching comes on here 6 and 7. So provide stakeholder value will match with what are the drivers. Holistic approach and dynamic governance system covered by where we are now in 2019. Where do we want to be? What need to be done? Governance distinct from the management. How do we get there? Tailored to enterprise need. Did we get there? End-to-end enterprise coverage. But here doesn't match because it says how do we keep the momentum going, but it doesn't say the enterprise coverage. So that's what we said. 6 and 7 are not matched. COVID 2019, I mean the version COVID 5 to 19 includes, but these two purposes include 40 governance and management objectives organized into 5 dimensions, expanded from 37 processes organized into the same 5 domains under the COVID-5. So candidate need not memorize these objectives. I mean, you don't need not to do. They are included because they represent one of the foundational shift from COVID-5 to COVID-19, 2009. So here this picture shows columns indicate 17 genetic IT related goals on this side. Columns. So these columns include 17, which we discussed. And these rows integrate 37 processes. So anything with P means there's important relationship, achievement of goals. S indicate there's still strong but less important relationship. And you can go to this site and see this one in a little bigger and full details on 2000 COVID 2009. A lot of things you can access. Here the picture is very clear here on the website. Okay. So that only this picture will be clear, very clearly visible in the site. When you click the link, you can get it. So the conversion to COVID 2019 performance management is a crucial element of governance and management system. It direct all of the components that work towards accomplishing the goals of organization by providing reliable and relevant outcome. COVID performance management, CPM, model measure performance using capability and maturity level. Capability level is the CPM measure the performance by using a capability level to quantify how well a process is operating, ranging from 0, no capability, to 5. Okay. So incomplete, initial, maturity level, manage, optimize is 5. The focus areas given. So COVID 2019 product family currently include the following documents. Go to website, framework, induction and methodology, introduction and methodology, then governance and management objectives, design guide, and implementation guide. All that can be resources can be obtained from the attached, mention slide mention site. Okay. So we will not move from there. We will stop for today. The always time is past. Okay. So this is a recorded video, and you all can listen to this one before you come to the next lecture. That's important. So thank you very much.